Now it's time for Baking with Mother. Today we are making Millionaires Shortbread.
Welcome to this week's video with Baking with Mother. Today we are making Millionaires Shortbread. Now for anyone that doesn't know, this consists of a layer of biscuit followed by a layer of caramel followed by a layer of chocolate. So there's three distinct parts. So we're starting with the base. So to make the base we need to mix our flour and our sugar. So the first thing we do is we just give those a very quick mix, just to combine them together. Okay, that is literally all they need. And then we add our butter. You then want to let it mix to become breadcrumbs. Now obviously you can do this by hand, similar to if you were making a pastry, or if you've got a hand mixer. You can do it in any of those ways. So we'll set that going now. I think that's just about done now. We'll turn that off. It should look like breadcrumbs. You shouldn't have any big lumps of butter at all. So clean anything off your beaters as always. Then making sure you have clean hands. I've just washed mine. Take your lined, greased, prepared tin, and we want to, first of all, we need to knead it together. So take that out, a bit of that, and we will just by hand just kind of squash it together and try and get it to form a dough. You don't have to get it all kneaded together in one go. You can do it in bits and then put it into the tin. So once you've got this coming together, it's starting to do now. You just have to keep kind of squeezing it, almost like forcing it to stick together. As you can see now, it's stuck together okay. So we're going to take some of this and we're just going to press it into the bottom of this. Now obviously getting this even is quite tricky, so it is just a case of patting it down. Move that along a bit so you can see a bit more. So yeah, getting more of it, putting it in and just pushing it down. With your fingers, the back of your hand, whatever works really. So yeah, just getting bits and getting it as even as you can. And once you've got a whole layer, then obviously you can then even it out any more if you need to, or add any last bits in. I've made this a few times and I've never got the base completely even, but as long as it's not like 2 inches in one corner and a centimetre in the other, you should be alright. Like I say, you can squash it down more and more once you get it all in. Got a big bit there, so that bit there is now a bit too thick, so I need to squish that out. Otherwise we're going to have what I just said you don't want, which is a very, very thick corner. Keep going, squeeze it in. A bit more, put that into the middle. I always find the middle is the bit that is the shallowest, whereas the corners seem to always be the thickest part. I mean, this is going to get covered, so how it looks doesn't really matter. It's just a case of getting it all in. Just use your fingers. I mean, you can use a spoon, I suppose, if you wanted to, but you can feel a bit better if you're using your hand, I think. Still got a bit of an uneven corner there, so I'm going to try my hardest to push it out a bit. Obviously, it's someone that is annoying you at the moment. Like my husband kept me up snoring all last night. You know, you can punch it pretending it's them. Okay, I think I'm fairly happy with that now. As you can see, that is all pressed down in the bottom. So now the next thing to do is take your fork and just prick it all over. Again, once you're happy you've pricked that enough, as you can see, I've just gone up and down in lines. Hopefully you can see that. That will now go in the oven for 20 minutes until it's firm to the touch and very lightly browned. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in now at 160 degrees. Sorry. Alexa, start a 20-minute timer.
20 minutes. Starting now.
We'll be back when that's done. Okay, there's our 20-minute timer going off. Alexa, off. And let's get it out and have a look. Right, so as you can see, it's very lightly browned. It's not dark brown, it's only an ever so slight brownness to it. And you can just test that with your finger to check it's firm. It doesn't always feel firm, it feels a bit puffy, but it will firm up. So we leave that in the tin because everything else is going to go into that tin. So leave that to cool while you prepare your caramel. Okay, so now we're going to go on to making the caramel. This bit, it's simple, but it is tiring on your arm because you have to stir it continuously. So you need to put the sugar, the butter, and I chop that up quite small so it melts more quickly, and the condensed milk, which I always find the tin will never open properly, so you just have to do the best you can with getting it out. So tip it out. A knife is normally quite good. You just got to be very careful that you don't hurt yourself on the tin. But obviously we need to get it all out. So you just pour it and scoop it as much as you can until you get most of it out, and then you can play with it a bit more. So I'm seeing that most of that is out. So I'm going to very carefully lift that up, just you can get it quite quickly, easily, and then use your spatula just to get the rest of it out. Now, because like I say, this is quite a long process, I'm not going to, I'll pause the video while I do it, but basically you need to heat it gently to dissolve the sugar and melt the butter. Then you need to turn it up to medium heat until it boils, and then once you've got it boiling, you need to stir it for 5 to 10 minutes until it's thick. It's nearer the 10, I've always found when I've made this before. So yeah, once you've got all of that out, Now obviously this stuff's very, very sticky, so, and you're best off stirring this with a heat-proof spatula, which mine is. So I'm going to stick that into the washing up, so that can soak while we stir. So I'm going to turn this round so you can see the cooker. So we're going to pop this onto there. We're going to turn that on. Now I'm using my smallest gas so that I can give it a good stir to give it a bit of a mix so you don't have all that sugar on the bottom. And just keep stirring because we don't want it to burn. So we just stir and stir and stir, and we're waiting for that butter to melt and the sugar to dissolve. Okay, so the butter's all melted now, so we want to turn it up to a higher heat, but obviously as I'm using the smallest gas I can't, so I'm going to turn that off and I'm going to move to the back gas and turn that on. That now has a bigger gas, so we stir this continuously until it starts to boil. Then we turn the heat down, so I'll move it back to the smaller one for that, and then just keep stirring for 5 to 10 minutes until it thickens. So I'm just going to bring this up to the boil. Builds your arm muscles up, that's for sure. Okay, this is now coming to the boil. You can tell because it starts to make a funny noise as you're scraping it away from the side. So that is now boiling. So we may just turn that down on that gas rather than moving it backwards and forwards. So it starts to look a little different. So now we just need to stir this and heat it gently for, make sure that's not too high, 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer. Alexa, remind me in 10 minutes, stirring.
What's the reminder for?
Stop stirring.
Okay, I'll remind you in 10 minutes.
Actually, I think I am going to move it back to the corner just because that's straining my arm even more. Okay, just turn that down, so just over a gentle heat, keep stirring, and that way you can see there, it's looking a little bit more, comes away from the saucepan a bit more easily. So we will continue to stir this for 10 minutes. Okay, so we're still stirring here. We've been stirring for almost 10 minutes now. I think my reminder is going to go off in a second.
Sharon, here is your reminder. Stop stirring.
There we go, so we turn our heat off.
Sharon, here is your reminder. Stop stirring.
And we'll bring that across to over here. We'll take our base that's been cooling. It's not cooled, but we just pop this on the top now. So pour that on, it should smooth out nice and evenly, but if you think there's not enough in the corners, use your spatula just to even it out. There we go, get it all out. So we're just going to use our spatula just to push it into the corners, especially if you haven't had your base 100% flat like mine. Do that. Now don't use your finger. I'm going to grab a spoon, the teaspoon, just to scrape off the spatula, because if you use your finger you're going to get very hot, very sticky caramel stuck to you. Right, that now has to cool 100% completely. So you can't do the next stage until that is 100% cold. So gives you a chance to wash up all the sticky stuff before the last stage. Okay, so we'll be back when that has cooled. Okay, so this has now been left to sit for a good couple of hours to completely cool down. You can test how cool it is by checking underneath the tin. If that feels cool, then it's cooled down. So now we're going to prepare the last layer, the topping. Now you need 200 grams of chocolate. So you can use milk chocolate, dark chocolate. I personally think 100 grams of each is good. Because if you use all milk chocolate, it can be very, very sweet, especially on top of all the caramel. So here I've got 100 grams of dark chocolate. I'm just going to break that up into our bowl. You could do all dark chocolate if you like chocolate. You could use a flavoured chocolate if you like. A very well-known chocolate brand does a chocolate orange bar these days. I spotted in the supermarket yesterday, so you could use that if you wanted to give it a bit of extra flavour. So that's our 100 grams of plain, and then we're going to have 100 grams of milk chocolate. And these are then going to be put over the pan of water, which will then be simmered, and the chocolate will be stirred until melted. We're just going to use half of this, because then that will give us the 100 grams of the milk chocolate. So there we have it, 200 grams of chocolate. That can be kept for later. Our pan with some water on, and we're going to pop that on the heat to melt. Let's just turn you around again. So there we go, we just turn the heat on and get ourselves a wooden spoon to give it a stir. So we're just going to let that sit there and stir it until it's all melted. So again, I won't make you watch that, so we'll skip forward. Okay, so this has been melting down for about just over 5 minutes, nearly 10, and it's now all melted. So we'll turn that heat off, bring this over here, and turn you around. And so I've prepared my wooden chopping board with a tea towel to catch the boiling water. So give it a good old stir. I can't recommend enough getting a large glass jug as opposed to a bowl, because the handle on it just makes it so much easier. So we're going to make sure we've given that one last good stir. Then we're going to use our spatula to get any chocolate off the wooden spoon. Now, as I can't stand dark chocolate, it's very easy for me just to put this in the washing up bowl and not lick it clean. So there we go, get that out of the way. It goes into the washing up. We then take our what we've made already, and we use our spatula to get out all of the lovely chocolate, and then just spread that over the top. Get it all out. And of course, the recipe for this, if you would like it, I can email it to you for just a very small donation, not 50p, or if you'd like me to laminate it up for you, that would be £1. I can do that with any of the recipes of things that I've done. So do just let me know if you'd like anything, and then you can make them yourself. One last bit, and there we go. We're going to move that to one side, let that cool slightly. So we're now just going to use the spatula to spread the chocolate out. Again, making sure to get right into those corners. So just keep going with it. Spread it about. And then this then has to cool again completely before we can cut it into pieces. So this will make 16. So there are 2 lots of 8 on offer. If anyone would like them, just have to let me know. I think £5 per 8 donation would be about right. So we're just going to spread that about, make sure it's even. And there we have them, ready to cool and then be cut once they're chilled. I will probably place that in the fridge to cool completely. Okay, like I say, if you would like them or you'd like anything else baked for you or to take into your workplace for donations, please just let me know. See you next week. Bye.
And there we have it. Thank you for watching this video, if indeed you still are. I hope it was useful. If you enjoyed this video, please drop us a like and subscribe. Check back soon for our next video, and if you have any suggestions, please pop them in the comments or email me directly on bakingwithmother@gmail.com.